Good morning, everyone. Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. And today we have today with us very special guest, Professor Dr. C.K. Kokate, sir. I think there is no need of introduction to this historical milestone name in the field of pharmaceutical education and research. Sir, we on behalf of whole Pharma LOK team welcome you. And before starting this interview session with the Pharma LOK, which is episode number 26, and it is going to be telecasted on Republic Day. I, Sourabh Kosey, Associate Professor and Head Department of Pharmacy Practice, ISF College of Pharmacy, and today's host, welcome you once again, sir. Before starting this interview, I would like to have your career highlights and academic profile in very brief, sir, with your permission. Professor C.K. Kokate did his bachelor's in 1967 from Nagpur University with first division. He did master's in 1969 from University of Sagar and awarded with gold medal. In 1972, Sir did PhD in pharmaceutical sciences. Sir did postdoctoral research fellowship at Germany, and Sir was also visiting scientist in Germany until 1986 on the invitation by DART. Sir has hold various positions, responsible positions in the pharmaceutical sector, such as President Pharmacy Council of India, Vice President AIU, President 50th IPC, along with the Federation of Asian Pharmaceutical Association, FAPA, Vice Chancellor KU Warangal, Telangana, Vice Chancellor KLE, Vice Chancellor Nagarjuna University AP, National President IPA, President ISP, and Executive Committee member of AICTE, Chairman AICTE All Indian Board of Pharmacy, Chairman Expert Committee for Preparation of Guidelines for FDCs, Member DTC, Member UGC, Member National Board of Accreditation NBA of AICT, Members Task Force of Biotechnology Government of India, and various positions such as Member National GATE Committee Ministry of HRD Government of India, Member QRD Committee of India Council of Agriculture Research, served as the Member Search Committee Advisor for the selection of top most senior national positions in pharmacy, Founder Senior Foreman WHO FIP, Scientific Coordinator Educon Sakal Group Pune. Present positions are his expert, Chairman Panel Committee for Approval of FDC, Ministry of Health, Government of India, Chairman Pharmacy Accreditation Committee of National Board of Accreditation NBA, Chairman Scientific Advisory Committee of National Institute of Traditional Medicine, Chairman Expert Committee of National Institute of Biologicals for Skill Development Training Programs on Quality Management, Chairman Expert Committee on Gelatin Capsules, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Member National Scientific Advisory Group of the Division of Basic Medical Sciences, Indian Council of Medical Research, Chairman, Member of UGC Committees for Universities, UGC nominee for Special Assistance Program, Chairman, PR Team of NAC and NBA, Member, National Consultative Committee of the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission and Pharmacovigilance, Government of India, National Advisor, Society of Pharmacognosy, Academic Council, Senate Member, Planning and Monitoring Board, Member of Board of Management of 7 Central State and Deemed University, Governing Council Member, Association of Indian Universities, 2014 to 16, nominated on the Court of Indian Gold Institute of Science, Bangalore, for 2014 till 2017. Sir is the first pharmacist in the country to become the Vice President, Association of Indian Universities, Vice Chancellor of an Indian State University, Vice Chancellor of the Medical University, recipient of all 6 national awards given at the Indian Pharmaceutical Congress, Chairman of the Regional Committee AICTE SRC, Chairman of the Recruitment Board of RAC of DRDO Labs, Ministry of Defence, Government of India, Honorary Colonel Commanded NCC, Ministry of Defence, Government of India, Honorary Fellow of Indian Society of Technical Education. Sir has total 31 national and international award and fellowship to his credit. If we talk about research, Sir has guided more than couple of dozens of students of PhD and more than 4 dozens M.Pharm and PG students in pharmaceutical sciences. He has authored the greatest book of the era, of the century, called Pharmacognosy by Nirali Prakashan, and so far around 4 lakh copies have been sold so far, with the 58th edition recently launched in the month of November 2021. Sir has published more than 120 research papers in national and international journals, and so far examined 70 PhD theses of Faculty of Medicine, Pharmacy and Applied Technological Sciences. Sir has chaired 20 scientific sessions at national conference and around 50 national meetings. presented 50 research papers at national conferences, and around 120 papers at national meeting. So with this short introduction of Professor C.K. Kokate sir, I would like to start the interview with the permission. Most welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, as you know, first we would like to know about your primary phases of life, like your family background, your introduction, where you brought up, your native place, etc.
I am from agricultural family. We were 5 brothers and 3 sisters. Of course, now we are only 4 brothers alive. I did my schooling at my native place, which was a small village. Then for my college education, I had moved to a place called Nizamabad. And I did my graduation from Nagpur University, Department of Pharmacy. Post-graduation, as I already said, is from University of Sagar. And that time in 1967, when I graduated, there were only 4 or 5 institutions in the country offering post-graduation program. So that's the reason I had to move from Nagpur to Sagar. And after PhD in program that I did at Sagar University, I was appointed as the manager of R&D at Fairdeal Corporation in Mumbai. And that it was during that period I was associated with the development of one product which is very popular today, Electral. And because of that, my contribution to Electral, I got an award also. From there, I moved to Bombay College of Pharmacy. My main interest was in academics. And Bombay College of Pharmacy in 1972 was an unique example of an institution being supported by pharmaceutical industry. I wanted to be close to pharmaceutical industry, and also I was very keen to be a teacher. So despite that, I had wonderful opportunities in industry. I moved to Bombay College of Pharmacy in 1972 as senior lecturer, and in 1974 I became associate professor or reader. And in 1980 I came to Kokate University as the professor of pharmacy, and I established the Department of Pharmacy at Kokate University. I was there almost for 24 years, and I retired from that university as the Vice Chancellor. During that period, of course, I had many other assignments too. I was Vice President and Acting President of Pharmacy Council of India from 1994 to 1999. And then from 1999 to 2004, I was the President of Pharmacy Council of India. I had a long association with PCI for almost 10 years and 2 years as the executive committee member. And during that period, the challenging task for me was to implement Education Regulations 1991. Even though the ER 1991 was approved by PCI and Government of India, it was not implemented till I took over as the Vice President and Acting President. And then that was a challenging task. And that time almost there were 64 cases against ER by the private management people who didn't want E-Education Regulation 1991, mostly from Karnataka. And fortunately for us, we have won all the cases. Delhi High Court gave judgment in favor of PCI, and ultimately we could introduce Pharmacy Council of India's regulations, Education Regulation 1991, for diploma in pharmacy uniformly in country from 1994. That was a challenging task, and I was preparing for Education Regulation 2001. And of course, these education regulations have been now approved by the Pharmacy Council of India, and they have been amended and they are introduced. But one of the important tasks for me that time was to convince All India Organization of Chemists and Druggists why this course is required to be revised and it should be accepted by one and all. In fact, the intention was to make degree as the minimum qualification for registration as pharmacist. We have even today diploma as the qualification, and there of course we could not succeed because of lots of pressures on us, but we moved in that direction. We thought that we should, for our country, make degree as the minimum qualification for registration. And then, of course, we had very wonderful relation with All India Council for Technical Education. We sorted out that problem, and AICT, the first chairman of AICT, Professor Khanna, was very uh, enthusiastic to have good relations with PCI, Pharmacy Council of India, and we did extremely well in that field. We never had any clashes with AICT then. That was my contribution. Of course, meanwhile, in 2001, I was invited by Chandrababu Naidu Garu, who was the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh then, to take over as the Vice Chancellor of Kakate University. And I can proudly say that I was the first pharmacist to become Vice Chancellor of Indian University. And in addition to Kakate University, I was given the additional charge of Vice Chancellor as Nagarjuna University. So at one time, I was Vice Chancellor for two state universities. That I did apart from my contribution as the President of Pharmacy Council of India. And that time, of course, uh, Ministry of HRD appointed me as the chairman of Southern Region Committee of All India Council for Technical Education. That was for the first time a pharmacist was considered for this post, and I think thereafter no pharmacist was holding this post. It usually goes to a technical man. And then, of course, as the chairman of All India Board of Pharmacy, ICT, which brought out the first uh, course content syllabus for B Pharmacy and then later on for M Pharm. So it was a golden period. And of course, after my retirement as the president, my tenure was over in 2003. I continued as vice chancellor for one more year. And then in 2006, I moved to uh, a private university. After my completion of tenure as vice chancellor at State University, I moved to Belgaum as the vice chancellor of a private deemed university, which was a medical university. And that was a wonderful experience of mine. In fact, I was vice chancellor for two terms there, almost 11 years. And I had wonderful opportunity of interacting with the medical personnel. We did extremely well there. And because of this long tenure of vice chancellor of almost 14 years, I was holding the post of vice president of Association of Indian Universities, which goes by the seniority as the vice chancellor. Later on, of course, after completion of 70 years, as per the UGC norms, I had to step down. And after my retirement, even now, I am contributing as the chairman of this expert committee for fixed dose combinations. Today, I am associated with the Ministry of Health in this capacity as the chairman of expert committee and also as the chairman of the PEAC, that is Pharmacy Evaluation Accreditation Committee of National Board of Accreditation. These two posts I am still holding, apart from some other posts that have been given by the ministry. And I am leading a comfortable retired life here in Hyderabad. I am active of professionally, but now, of course, having attained the age of 75, I am not actively involved in service as on today. That's my background, and I am very happy that I have a pharmacist as my wife, my better half, and I'm glad to inform that we have been blessed with two children, two sons, and one is, of course, a mechanical engineer working with American company. He was in Singapore. He came back to India, and he's holding a very senior position there. And the other one, of course, is a senior officer at U.S. Food and Drug Administration. He's a pharmacist, and his wife is a scientist. She's working with NIH, and we are blessed with two grandsons and two grandchildren. This is my family background.
So definitely, sir, you are an eminence of pharmacist. You are an eminent pharmacist with all the administrative, scientific, research, academia, as well as on personal behalf. You are a perfect blend of pharmacy. एंड इन हिंदी आई वुड लाइक टू से कि सर आप फार्मेसी जीते हैं, फार्मा विद है आप. So definitely this is what very inspirational life and career cycle you have, sir. We are glad to have you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Moving forward, sir, as you have told about your personal family background and your primary education, I would like to ask you, sir, what was the your inspiration and aspiration to choose pharmacy as a profession? Like you would have had other choices also to go in the domain such as medical or engineering side, or say any other kind of profession you would have opted. Why did you opted pharmacy profession only, sir?
It is because of my brother. In fact, in 1964, when I did my 10 plus 2, uh, I had to go up with the advice of my brother, who was a doctor. And he suggested me, why don't you go for pharmacy? And to tell you very frankly, that time we never knew what pharmacy was. And there used to be one seat reserved for our Telangana region in Nagpur University. And I got that seat. So I went to Nagpur. And as I have said already, at that time hardly there were 4 or 5 pharmacy colleges in the country. So I opted to go to Nagpur because it was nearer to my native place. I did my graduation, and during my graduation period, I had wonderful advice of my teacher, a mentor, Professor Dorle. You might have heard, he's late Professor Dorle. He was an
Exactly.
inspiration to me. And because of him, I was during my tenure very active in pharmacology, and I was doing a lot of work with him, just helping him rather. He was doing his PhD program. He was my mentor, and he suggested me to go for M.Pharm. And then I went to Sagar. I did my M.Pharm and PhD, and that's how I was exposed to many other great uh, for leaders of pharmacy education. I can proudly say, Dr. Kosey, that I am one person who had wonderful link with the old generation of pharmacists and young generation. I was very fortunate to have met Professor M.L. Shroff, father of pharmacy education. I was the president of Pharmacy Union, Students Union at Nagpur University during 1966 and 67. And that time we invited Professor M.L. Shroff for the inauguration of our college gathering. He came all the way from Varanasi. And that was a wonderful experience for me. I had a wonderful time to interact with him. And then I could meet Professor G.P. Srivastava. I had an opportunity to interact with Sri K.C. Chatterjee, Professor P.C. Dandia, and many all top people. I was very close to Professor Harkishan Singh, and I was wonderfully inspired by the contribution of these great people. And that has molded my life. And Professor K.C. Verma, another stalwart in pharmacy education from Sagar, he was my guide and mentor. That's how I grew up. And I was fortunate to have been the president of Indian Pharmaceutical Association, national president. And then during that period, of course, I was also the president of Indian Pharmaceutical Congress, which was a unique achievement for me, because that was one IPC which was held with Federation of Asian Pharmaceutical Association at Mumbai. And I still remember in 1998 when I was presiding over this conference, there were 3 Nobel laureates sitting in the audience. And had a wonderful time of interacting with all of them. That was a big event at Mumbai, even remembered today. And that was one opportunity for me to come closer to pharmaceutical industry. As as I already said, I was working with Bombay College of Pharmacy, and that was one institution where there were wonderful programs that were conducted for the benefit of students. I was also the in charge of students' activities as well as the Teachers Association at Bombay College of Pharmacy. And there, we used to conduct once in a month a program, Meet the Managing Director. That was on every Saturday, fourth Saturday. This program was very important and inspiring. And then we used to also invite regularly the experts from pharmaceutical industry under the caption of meet the quality control manager, meet the R&D manager, and meet the production manager. And my important responsibility was to interact with all these stalwarts from pharmaceutical industry, invite them to Bombay College of Pharmacy. And that gave me wonderful insight of pharmaceutical industry too. And there was one good scheme that was existing in Bombay College of Pharmacy, then I do not know now. But during the summer holidays, there used to be summer holidays almost 2.5 months. And during these holidays, the teachers were deputed officially to work in pharmaceutical industry. And that's how I got a job in working with Sandoz, Pfizer, and Hext, three important companies. So that gave us an insight of pharmaceutical industry, and we used to teach our students very confidently about the activities that are taking place in pharmaceutical industry. I think, in my opinion, that trend must be re-established, and our teachers should be exposed to an environment of pharmaceutical industry so that our teaching becomes more effective and not remains theoretical.
Definitely, sir. And this is what, sir, I have been personally lucky to meet you twice when I was as a student in Bhopal, Gyan Vigyan Bhavan, Indian
Yeah,
Society of
yes.
Pharmacognosy.
Oh,
So
good, good, yes.
you took the name of Verma, sir. So I have a souvenir photograph with you all, sir, at the time of
Thank
lunch.
you.
And secondly, I met you, sir, personally in 2014, 14 February, when Professor Kalia at
Yes, yes.
Sri Sai Group of Institution, Badani, he was over there.
Yes.
So I and Dr. Vinod Gautam from Moga came over there. So at the dinner time in the night, we meet, sir. So, and this is the third time we are meeting. So definitely, I am, sir, I am getting today to meet you virtually first time, and definitely I am going to come various things from your side and real inside of the pharmaceutical education and industry. Thank you so much, sir, for your
Thank
answer
you.
and joining. Moving forward, sir, as you know, sir, watching your bio sketch profile, it is impossible, I think, to anyone in the present area to become in such varying capacity. So, sir, how to develop yourself as a multitasker in the current academic and research scenario and environment?
As Vice Chancellor of Kakate University, I had opportunity to interact with great educationists in different spheres of activities in the country. I was very active since my school days in national ACC and National Cadet Corps. I myself did my C certificate in NCC, and when I
Wonderful.
became Vice Chancellor of Kakatiya University, uh, I was very keen to develop this NCC network in my university. There were around 360 colleges affiliated to this university in 4 districts. And because of my contribution to the development of National Cadet Corps, NCC, in my university, I was given the honorary colonel commandant position of Ministry of Defense. It is uh, the top person of defense. He came over to Hyderabad and felicitated me with this honor. And I was all the time wearing this particular wonderful uniform on official, functions. So that was a wonderful achievement of mine, and I really enjoyed. I used to attend the camps, and I was also active in uh, the in the programs which are not directly linked with pharmacy, and that's how I developed my personality. So by serving as the vice chancellor of state university, I got an insight in various activities, and I could do something. I was also a sports person during my college days. I was captain of the hockey team during my college days, and I was very keen. And as vice chancellor, also, uh, one good thing, I was playing ball badminton regularly. And then most important thing is, as Vice Chancellor, I never missed my classes. I used to take three theory classes in a week, even during the period as Vice Chancellor of Kakate University. I never, and this was very much appreciated by the Chief Minister, the then Chief Minister, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. And he openly told in one of the meetings of the Vice Chancellors and the Chief Secretaries that there is one Vice Chancellor who takes regularly classes uh, for his students. And I used to take classes in forensic pharmacy and pharmacognosy for B.Pharm second year students. I never, I thought that these are the students who should be given the best uh, teaching, and that's how I used to enjoy interacting with them. I am of the opinion that even though we hold important positions in our pharmacy education, we should never miss uh, taking the classes. We should be very punctual, and this you know quality I have been taught by my teachers. I have been told about one story of Professor G.P. Srivastava. When he was the head of the Department of Pharmacy at Banaras Hindu University, he used to be very prompt in taking his classes. He never missed his classes. So that has really created a very positive impact on me, and I tried to follow in his footsteps.
Definitely, sir. These are the footsteps which leads you to the landmark, and uh, to our generation, this suggestions and the things you have done in past are really remarkable and really needed to be followed. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. Moving to the next question, sir. As you told, you are working right now as the chairman of the fixed dose combination FDC committee. So, sir, our Indian audience want to know that how this FDC are approved. I mean, what is the scientific aspect of FDPs as in during drug development process molecules being developed onto the single dose, and in translational research it moves to the combination, say combiflame, or there are 329 drugs in between. There was some news like government banned Saridon, and certainly I think 328 or 329 combination. So, sir, your comments on the same, sir.
It was, I still remember it was in 2013. Uh, a committee was constituted by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, under my chairmanship, to frame the guidelines for fixed dose combinations. It so happened that FDCs were existing for a long time, and there are many FDCs without the prior approval of the CDSCO. And there was hue and cry. World Health Organization took objection for this in 2000, early 2000. And then, of course, Honorable Supreme Court passed strictures. The parliamentary committee, the then parliamentary committee on for Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, also told the government that some steps should be initiated, and these unauthorized FDCs should be banned. So, taking that as the clue, the then Congress government, when Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad was the Union Health Minister, they constituted a committee under my chairmanship to frame the guidelines. We never had any guidelines for FDC. We were 5 to 6 members in the committee. We worked very hard, and of course, there was one professor from KEM Hospital, Bombay, and the drugs controller of Gujarat was a member, and Professor Vikas Medi from PGI Chandigarh was a member, and there were 2, 3 more members, and we framed the guidelines. And we never had any guidelines for fixed dose combinations then, and that's how the companies were coming up with the formulations. And there were some examples of the states like Pondicherry and some Bihar and some other states who were giving for permission for all types of fixed dose combinations, and that resulted in in several deaths too because of some wrong combinations. And we worked on this, we framed the guidelines. These guidelines were approved by the government, and these are called as Kokate guidelines for fixed dose combinations, FDCs. And later on, of course, there was this question of the irrational drug combinations that were existing in the market then. By then, the government changed. The new government came, and one day I had a phone call from ministry. Uh, Dr. Chien Singh was the drugs control general, and then he was sitting with Dr. Harshvardhanji, who was the health minister. And I was told by the ministry that I'm appointed as the chairman for the committee to screen all these irrational drug combinations. There were around 7,000 combinations that have been identified by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which were required to be screened. And they were existing as per the records of the CDSU without prior approvals. And that's how we started working on that. There was a separate committee. I was retained as the chairman and 2 members were retained. But there were few more members, about 7, 8 new members, mostly from medical field and from pharmacy, of course. We had Dr. C.L. Kaul, the former director of Naipur, Chandigarh, and Professor Roop Kishan Khar as the members. And then, of course, Professor Sanjay Singh, who was from Banaras Hindu University, and now he is the Vice Chancellor of Central University at Lucknow. So we are the 4 pharmacists, and there are about 5 to 6 doctors. We work very hard, and we had more than 60 meetings at Delhi, 60 meetings. And some of the meetings were for 2 to 3 days. And we were working very seriously, and we maintained a lot of confidence. The meetings were in the CDSC office, Drugs Control General's office, but nobody had the access. We were working in camera from almost 9:30 to 4:30, and every day we used to keep our, results and those files sealed, and that's how we worked almost for almost 1.5 years. And we suggested to government from time to time to ban some of these irrational drug combinations. And when first recommendation was sent to government to ban 348, the central government, of course, took the approval of Drugs Technical Advisory Board and finally banned 329 formulations. What we did that time, these 7,000 formulations which were given to us, we categorized into 4 groups. Group category A, category B, C, D. And category A is the formulation which is required to be banned. Category B is that there is some more data required to be generated. And category B. Category C is approved. The formulations are approved as it is, and they should be given permission by CDSU. And category D is, of course, there are some more studies that are required to be carried out, and there should be pharmacovigilance data collected and submitted to CDSU. And that's how we did the categorization of around 7,000 formulations. And as the first step, these 329 formulations have been banned. When this decision was taken, I still remember our committee was invited to ministry to make the final presentation. On behalf of the committee, I made a PowerPoint presentation to Honorable Secretary, Joint Secretary, and all important senior officials of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And after having done this work, finally, as the concluding remark, I said, "Sir, we have worked on this task for last 1.5 years. We had more than 60 meetings. We have spent a lot of time of ours. We did a lot of homework, and this report has been generated out of these deliberations. And we wish that this should not be just kept in dustbin. We expect ministry to take some action." That was my concluding remark. And believe me, that time the Honorable Secretary of Ministry of Health, he said, "No, this government is for action and we'll take it." And this committee report was given to minister, and then of course minister was briefed about me also about these activities, and then finally honorable prime minister said you go ahead. And during our honorable prime minister's period in 2016 or 17, this has been banned. I'm very happy this action has been taken within 1 month of the submission of the report. But as it happens, it was challenged in the High Court. High Court, they engaged the services of very senior lawyers like Mr. Kapil Sibal, Mr. Chidambaram, and Mr. Sanghvi. So naturally, uh, they could get the stay, and then later on, High Court said no. Technically, it is all right, but there are certain flaws. This committee report should be seen by DTAB and other things. And again, uh, our CDSU took this particular case to Honorable Supreme Court, and in Supreme Court, of course, we got judgment in our favor, and that's how these 329 formulations have been banned. But one thing, Mr. Kosey, I would like to share with you, which was very confidential. When this was happening, I was invited by the ministry, the secretary, to brief him what is exactly going on. And then I was advised to meet the deputy attorney general who was handling this case. That time, of course, I went with our current Drugs Control General of India, Mr. Dr. Somani, to meet him at 9 o'clock in the night, the attorney general. And then he asked me what exactly he was defending our case. The attorney general asked me what exactly it was. And then I told Mr. Attorney General how much, how many efforts we have taken to come to this conclusion. And I gave all the details, a brief note on all the activities that have been taken up by my committee. He was totally convinced. And that time I told him, so, sir, we are being questioned by Mr. Kapil Sibal and many top uh, lawyers. I am prepared to come to Honorable Supreme Court and defend this case. He said, he asked me whether you will appear in the Supreme Court. I said, yes, in the interest of the profession, I will definitely come and defend. But that stage never came. And finally, of course, Honorable Supreme Court was convinced, and this report was accepted, and the, the decision was implemented. Out of, we recommended 348 and 329 formulations have been banned. So
Yes, sir.
the
Please.
guidelines that have been framed by us for fixed dose combinations, they are implemented, but we are not approving. Approval is done by the CDSCO as per the guidelines given by our committee. And even now, this work of screening the fixed dose combinations in our country is still going on. We meet frequently virtually now. We are not meeting physically, but this committee is still working on the work that is assigned to us by the ministry through CDSU. We go very often, interact with our Drug Controller General of India and other officials, and we take the decisions. But one thing I would like to bring to your kind notice, when we started work, it was astonishing to note that 48% of our formulations were fixed dose combinations. That time in 2013, we had about 96,000 formulations in the country. And out of that, almost 48% were FDCs. And out of that, around 7,000 were existing without any prior approvals. I think that was one of the reasons why WHO was very critical. WHO said to our ministry that these FDCs have to be brought down, because in a progressive country like United States of America, there are hardly 18 to 20%. So our number was very high, and these fixed dose combinations were required to be curtailed, and that task was assigned to us. I'm happy that CDSC is doing wonderful work, and they are following these guidelines and giving the permissions. Now we don't come out with any illegal or illogical or irrational FDCs.
Definitely, sir. This is one of the, I would say that concrete milestone in the scenario of pharmacy practice since last 2 decades, and definitely in terms of patient safety and various clinical and pharmacy practice sectors are going to be definitely benefited in pharmaceutical care and evidence-based rationality. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
sir, for your answer. Moving forward, sir, next question. Like, sir, you have been PCI president, and during your presidentship tenure, as you told, Education Regulation 91 was approved. So, sir, what are the other various achievements, memories, and the welfare activities done during your golden tenure as a presidentship in the time? Please share with us, sir.
Yeah. Apart from implementation of Education Regulation 1991, we had a wonderful interaction with AICT. There were some problems that were existing. So we met. Professor Kadri was president and I was vice president then. Of course, Professor Kadri was abroad. So almost for 5 years, I was acting president and then later on president. So during that period, I used to interact with the chairman of AICT and sort out the problems. AICT was very cooperative. They said that actually you wanted to come to us. I today uh, through Pharma LOK, I would like to reveal one secret which many of our pharmacists do not know. It was in 1987 AICT Act was enacted, and 1986 the AICT bill was circulated to all the ministries, and it came to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in turn sent it to Pharmacy Council of India in 1986. And I would like Dr. Kosey to make it very prominently revealed to all our pharmacists. They should know what exactly it is. And in 1986, this bill was sent to Pharmacy Council of India. And that time, there was no mention of pharmacy in AICT bill. It was a bill for technical education, and pharmacy was not part of, according to this bill, of this technical education. And then it so happened that our Pharmacy Council of India stalwarts, members, they felt that pharmacy should be part of AICT. Because Pharmacy Council of India that was existing since 1949, 48 Pharmacy Act was enacted, 1948 and 49 first PCI was established. But we are only a regulatory body without any financial powers. And that time, we were very keen to develop our PG programs in pharmacy. And that money was coming from Ministry of HRD through Technical Education Wing. And when we were not included in this AICT bill, our all experts, including Professor R.K. Singh, who was the member of AICT then, they thought that we should be associated with the AICT so that we get financial support for pharmacy education, which was a right decision. And Pharmacy Council of India, in 1986, there was a meeting, and in General Body Central Council meeting, it was decided to go to appeal to ministry that we should be also included in AICT. And it was on the insistence of Pharmacy Council of India. Because of all these important, gains, we were made part of AICT. So it was willingly, we Pharmacy Council of India members, we pharmacy professionals wanted to be part of AICT. And having included in PCI, AICT, we started getting financial support, scholarships to inform students, a lot of money under technical education program. And that was running on well. And that's how pharmacy education could be strengthened. Otherwise, there would not have been many pharmacy colleges offering PG program. It went on very well. And then when we had a separate chairman of AICT in 1994, Professor Khanna was appointed as chairman. At that time, the real problem started because it came under the AICT. AICT became a very strong autonomous body. And that time, I was invited by Professor Khanna. Professor Kadri and myself, we went. And of course, Professor Kadri most of the times was in Dubai. So I was attending the meetings. And that time they said, you are now part of AICT. And we have to work together. And he understood the importance of pharmacy education. He said, my full support to you. You do it. And it was then followed by Professor Ramegowda, who was the chairman, Professor Natarajan, and of course there was one more chairman. So all these people, Professor Kapoor. So all of them were very cooperative, and we used to sort out our problems. They said now you are under AICT, and AICT is a very strong body. And that time, of course, Honorable Supreme Court also gave a decision that AICT prevails because AICT is post-constitutional act, whereas Pharmacy Act is pre-constitutional. So post-constitutional act exists. So we started working cordially, and that time there was a unwritten agreement with the AICT that the president of Pharmacy Council of India, if he is a professor, will be made the chairman of AICT Board of Pharmacy. And most of the teachers in Pharmacy Council of India, they will be inducted as the members. And we started working very cordially till then. Till 2004, of course, there were no problems. But then later on, of course, PCI thought that we should come out of AICT. And in 2018 or 19, I think, we ultimately came out of AICT. But then it is mandatory. It is not mandatory now that we should have the approval of AICT. But most of the pharmacy institutions are also going for approval of AICT, because even now we get a lot of financial support from AICT if we are approved by this agency. I think this is the situation today. But from 2004 onwards, I was more associated with medical education, because in 2005 I was nominated or appointed as the Vice Chancellor of a medical university. And that was a wonderful period of my service. Almost for 11 years, I had an opportunity to be the Vice Chancellor of a medical university. And there, of course, I had a number of opportunities to work with medical fraternity, top people in medical field, education. I do not know much about Pharmacy Council of India as on today, but then I have a lot of interaction with the experts from health profession even today.
Thank you so much,
And
sir,
then
for your answer.
during my period of PCI, there was a wonderful opportunity for me to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Pharmacy Council of India. And during this Golden Jubilee period, we had conducted around 52 national seminars, workshops, and we identified about 12 colleges in the country. And that time we got a grant of more than 1 crore from World Health Organization to conduct these programs. And that was one of important opportunity. We had wonderful celebration of Golden Jubilee at different capitals, and that is how I think I came to Bhopal for during this Golden Jubilee period. And perhaps you must be remembering, Mr. Digvijay Singh was the chief guest for our function, health minister.
Barkatullah University. Yes, yes.
Yeah, in all capitals, even we went to Bhubaneswar. Patnaik ji was the chief guest. In most of the states, we conducted these Golden Jubilee programs, and we involved the chief minister as the chief guest for these programs. And that is how I came and interacted with Dr. Harshavardhan also. He was minister in Delhi administration then, and he was very active MLA and later on MP, and that's how I knew him well. And another important thing, contribution of mine as the president of Pharmacy Council of India, we started the newsletter of PCI. Once in a month, a newsletter used to come out. And the most important thing, at that time I was also holding the post of National President of IPA. And we started pharma rallies during National Pharmacy Week. And some of our colleagues from Delhi must be remembering, the first pharma rally was taken up. I came all the way to Delhi, and we led that pharma rally from Ramlila ground to Jantar Mantar. We held the meeting. And that was a historic moment. There was a long rally of pharmacists, almost 1 kilometer long, which was passing through the streets of Delhi. And thereafter, as every year now, these pharma rallies are regularly conducted. I had an opportunity to renovate the office of Indian Pharmaceutical Association in Mumbai. I was holding both the positions as National President of IPA and President of Pharmacy Council of India, and we could do a number of professional activities during my tenure.
Really inspiring, sir. And as this is the thing at a parallel, one time, how effectively, how efficiently, sir, you have performed multitasking attitude and activities. Hats off to you, sir. And sir, thank you for your answer and inspiration for the development of our upcoming generations. Moving forward, sir, I have a next question that, sir, you have been Vice Chancellor of various prestigious institution of academic excellence and universities. So, sir, what are your various memorable experiences or the career stories from which definitely our upcoming future generations can learn?
At Kakatiya University, it was a challenging task for me. In 2001, I was appointed as Vice Chancellor, and you know that Warangal was very famous for Naxalite activities then. And we used to have the police protection during our tenure as Vice Chancellor. The first thing I said that I don't require police protection. I'm people's man. I don't have any threat from any Naxalites. And everyone knew. I learnt a lot. I had wonderful support of my Chief Minister, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, who involved me in many activities of the state government, like development of pharma industry at Hyderabad. Mr. Anji Reddy was the chairman and I was the member of that committee. We did number of things at Hyderabad, and Hyderabad became almost the bulk drug capital of India, and pharma industry was prospering here. And then, of course, I was also a member of Biotechnology Park here. And then I contributed a lot to state of Andhra Pradesh in my capacity as the chairman of Southern Region Committee of AICT. And with that background, of course, he gave me number of tasks. The most important thing about Honorable Chandrababu Naidu is that whenever any foreign delegation was coming to India and discussing about this biotechnology, pharmacy, and other things, he used to invite me from Warangal, which is a place 140 kilometers from Hyderabad, and I used to interact with them. So such opportunities were given to me by my Honorable Chief Minister, and I was directly answerable to him. And apart from that, he gave a number of things. It was very unusual that one vice chancellor is appointed as the vice chancellor of another university. There was a crisis in Nagpur, Nagarjuna University, which was, of course, a very famous university, almost 300 kilometers away from Warangal. And I was holding additional charge of this university almost for 1 year. And these things have given me an insight. They have widened my vision of professional activities, and I was given a lot of encouragement by the government then. One good thing with Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, he never allowed any political interference. I told him in the beginning at the time of appointment, sir, I am an academician. I have a lot of respect for you as the CEO of the state, but I prefer that I should not be disturbed politically. And the most important thing is we had a wonderful governor then, Dr. Rangarajan, who was also a great finance wizard, who was also the deputy governor of Reserve Bank of India, and he gave me a lot of support as governor. And we could do lots of things at Kakatiya University. Even today, they remember our contribution there. And thereafter, of course, after my term was over, I retired from the service, and I was invited by Dr. Prabhakar Kore, a great politician and great administrator, a great uh, academic administrator rather, and who established KLE society, institutions, many institutions. And he invited me as the vice chancellor of this KLE University, which was the team university in Karnataka. I, I was the first founder vice chancellor of this university, and I was given a lot of opportunities, full freedom to develop this institution. My humble suggestion to him was, sir, academically you give me full freedom. I'm not interested in financial matters, but we'll develop it academically. And we developed it. It is A plus university now, as per NAC accreditation. And it's one of the prestigious universities. The most important thing, we established a hospital there, which is 2,500 bedded hospital. One of the wonderful super specialty hospitals in southern
Excellent, sir.
India. Yeah. And lots of the convention center that we established, He's one of the best in the country. And all international halls, we conduct a number of international conferences there. And that freedom was given to me by my chancellor, Dr. Prabhakar Kore. And I had to retire after completion of 50 years as per the UGC norms. They wanted me to continue. But even today, I am actively engaged with many of these 5 to 6 universities as the advisor. And I go very often there. And I'm visiting professor to 3 universities today. But due to COVID now, my activities are restricted. As
Really
Vice
inspiring, sir.
Chancellor, I had a long inning of almost 14 years as Vice Chancellor, which was one of the im- important spells of my profession. And because of this unique distinction, I was holding the post of Vice President of Association of Indian Universities, which goes by seniority as the Vice Chancellor. I was the second senior most Vice Chancellor in the country. Professor Chauhan was the senior most then. So whoever is the senior most becomes the president of Association of Indian Universities.
Thank you, sir. And if we talk about the your specific achievements, the whole academic tenure, journey, and the various things done at a single time, sir, you have seen all the aspects: parallel pharmacy profession, medical profession, going towards various regulatory aspects, whether it is related to drug or the establishment of hospitals. If I say 2,500 bedded hospital itself, it is a success saga. Being as a pharmacy practice
Yeah,
academician, I can understand the value of that. So thank you so much, sir, for your such
thank you.
achievements and contribution. Moving forward, sir, my next question is like, sir, as you comes, you are the first pharmacist of your family, and definitely, as you told in the primary part of this interview, that your wife is a pharmacist, your one son is pharmacist, and definitely, daughter-in-law is in pharmacist and working abroad. So, sir,
Dr.
please
Kosey,
tell. Yes,
one
sir.
thing, in my family, we are 8 family members. I used to jokingly say that I can start diploma in pharmacy on my own. Kokate College of Pharmacy. My nephew is holding a very important position in pharmacy industry in United States of America. My niece is a pharmacist. When other two nephews are also pharmacists, one of them is working in Lupin. So I think we are 8 members of pharmacy in my family. And as per PCI norms, we require 7 members to start diploma in pharmacy. So I used to jokingly tell my PCI friends that I can start on my own a pharmacy college.
Definitely, sir. Inspiring pharmacy family, and I wish this pharmacy family, which is to continue your name, your legacy for more upcoming generations, sir. Moving forward, sir, I want to ask, sir, what is the mantra nowadays to calm yourself, like in being competitive in various responsible positions, where there are a lot of challenges and opportunities are available. So, sir, how you see in 21st century, how we should master ourselves in pharmacy nowadays in academic, administrative, and various research domains.
Uh, I am of the opinion that we should be always a disciplined pharmacist. Whatever are my achievements today, they are because of my students. I am very proud of my students. My students are holding very important positions in the profession, and that's how Kokate becomes great. That's my humble submission to you all. I think we have lots of things to do. Maybe at the time of accepting this as a profession, our career, we may be little bit, disturbed. Many of us might have tried for medicine. We don't get a seat there, and that's how we opt for pharmacy. But as I always tell my students, having opted this as our career, we should be totally committed to this profession. Number one. Number two, we should not live in ivory towers. We should be always in learning mode. We should not say that we know everything. I did everything. and I have nothing more to learn. I think we have lots of things to learn and learn more from our students who are also, you know, who have achieved something in the profession. So we should be very interactive, we should be very submissive, we should be humble, we should be totally committed, and the most important thing is we should never miss the link, lose the track with our profession activities. We should be very active in our professional activities. And I have learned a lot from my medical fraternity. My 11 years of stay at Belgaum has given me an insight. I still remember how actively they are engaged in their professional activities, especially the staff from clinical subjects. Their seminars start at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and there will be inauguration only for a period of half an hour or so. A person like me, who is the vice chancellor or somebody, will be invited. But they are very active and they invite the experts. All of them attend the sessions. They are active till 8 o'clock in the evening, 9 to 8. They conduct the programs. They learn a lot from their experiences. They share their experiences. And 8 o'clock night, they call as doctor's night. They really enjoy. They have wonderful dinner, and that's how uh, they are professionally committed. They never miss the sessions. But unfortunately, what happens in our profession when we conduct the seminar, especially in IPC also we see the sessions are conducted, and there will be hardly any gathering for scientific activities. They will be missing. We attend the IPC, but we are never seen in the hall to attend the scientific lectures. That should not happen. And we are in large number at the time of lunches and dinners, but we don't take seriously the scientific deliberations that are taking place. My humble suggestion to our pharmacy friends: we must take keen interest in our professional activities, scientific deliberations. Our seminars should be well focused. Our seminars should not be repetitive. Something new should become taught to our students, and we must also learn something new that is happening in our profession. And the most important thing is we should not be the frogs in the well. For frog in the well is the universe. We should come out of the well and see how beautiful the outside world is. And we must interact with all the achievers in our profession. We must go to them. We must learn with them. And we must try to imbibe some good qualities of our great stalwarts. There are very disciplined pharmacists. There are many unsung heroes in our profession who have done wonderful work, but we have never interacted with them. We have never brought them to limelight. I think this is my mantra to young generation: be active, be disciplined too, and be committed to our profession. Try to learn newer things in our profession. The technology is developing very fast. We are the teachers of the past. The teachers of today and tomorrow will be more proactive. We have many things to learn from them. What we were taught in 1960s is irrelevant today. What is being taught will be out of place tomorrow. Our pharmaceutical technology is undergoing metamorphosis very fast, and we must keep track with the changing trends in our profession and in our education system. That's my mantra. That's my piece of suggestion to our colleagues. I don't say advice, but as I would like to tell my colleagues that there are lots of things to learn from newer generation of pharmacists too. Now all of you have a wonderful technology here. You are interacting with us. We have so many things to learn from you also, and we should not hesitate to do this. There should be a continuous dialogue with our professionals, and the most important thing is that we should bring seriousness to our scientific deliberations, our seminars, our conferences, and our scientific meetings should be more meaningful and more purposeful. Thank you.
Exactly, sir. The way the things which are done at international level or in the medical
Am I
fraternities.
audible? Yes. You're not audible,
Yes,
sir.
sir. You are very audible, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. And definitely, sir, the way you told the formula for success, and as I have also seen the medical fraternities, and particularly they conduct CMEs, and the credit hours being awarded by the medical state medical councils. The way they work are definitely they work day and night. There is no definition of a standard business timing, say, sir, 9 to 5. As you have told, like about the success mantra, I would like to ask our audience want to know, apart from pharmaceutical sciences and this whole tenure, sir, what are your various like hobbies? Like Professor C.K. Kokate, as C.K. Kokate, sir, in his personal life, what are his hobbies and lifestyle? Like what time you wake up and what till bedtime, sir, go? What are your daily lifestyle?
Uh, of course, my hobbies, one is sports. I was myself a sportsman, and I was very active in NCC. But of course, at the age of 75 now, I cannot take many much interest. But I play indoor games whenever I get an opportunity. And most important thing is, of course, I spend a lot of time in writing the poems in Marathi. I write poetry, and of course, my another hobby is writing the books. But now uh, I have stopped it. I do a lot of reading even today. Marathi literature. I am not a fan of English literature, but I read a lot. That is my hobby. And then, of course, watching cricket matches and other things. These are my hobbies today. And then I spend a lot of time. I am planning to move from Hyderabad to Pune, spend time with my grandchildren there. My son has come back from Singapore and settled in Pune. So I would like to spend some time with them. And I am always available whenever any pharmacy institution in and around Hyderabad or any other places, they invite me. Even today during COVID period, I go there and advise the students. My I love to interact with my pharmacy teachers, colleagues, and I share my experiences with them whenever they ask me. And I try to motivate them. Nowadays, young generation of pharmacy teachers require the motivation. And I go and I spent some time. I try to convince the managements to give better quality of education to the students. And here the government also takes my advice for pharmacy education. Whenever they invite me, I give my piece of advice.
It's really, sir, beneficial for Telangana is such a lucky state to have you. And definitely you are, sir, I think you are here in Moga in 2010 once for
I
some
used to
conference.
visit Muga very often. Dr. Kalia, all our senior colleagues were good friend of mine. Dr. Saranjit
Yes,
was
sir.
also there for a long time. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful institution. And your chairman used to invite me. Mr. Garg used to invite me very often. You're
Thank
still working there in Mogano? No?
Yes, sir. I am here since 2012. So whole
Yeah, good.
PharmD pharmacy practice program is over here.
Good.
So for last 10 years I am serving here, sir,
Yeah.
in
Actually,
pharmacy.
Mr. Garg wanted me to come regularly there and advise. So I was coming. I think I visited Moga 4 or 5 times during my tenure. Yeah.
So this place is also has become with your sir footsteps have been over here. So wholly in pharmacy, and definitely we wish to have you in future also, sir. Thank you so
Yes.
much, sir, for your answer. Moving forward, sir, like you has been one of the famous author of India. I don't uh, predict that none of pharmacy college in India in their library or into the personal collection, they would not be having your book, sir. So, sir, I would like to ask, sir, you are one of the famous authors of this famous book, Pharmacognosy by C.K. Kokate, sir, and other co-authors. So, sir, I would like to ask, sir, what it takes to maintain the level of integrity, quality, and the level of literature for becoming good author and academician parallel level, because last year in the month of November only we witnessed the 58th edition of coming of this famous book authored by you. So, sir, please tell the success saga of this historical book. Around you told that 4 lakh copies have been already sold. So again, it's I think India's book of record in itself. So sir, please tell about this story.
It was in the year 1978, 77, 78, immediately after Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association conference at Mumbai. Mr. Dinesh Bhai, chief of Nirali Prakashan, he came to me with my friend, Mr. Gokhale. Actually, the credit for inducting me in this activity goes to my friend, Mr. Gokhale, who was 2 years senior to me at Nagpur University. He was in B Farm final year and I was in B Farm first year then. And he brought Mr. Dinesh Bhai Furia to me at Bombay during this conference and said that we should write a book. And that time, of course, I was also busy with another book of practical pharmacognosy, which was UGC sponsored. UGC supported me. And that has been published by Vallabh Prakashan, Delhi. And this practical pharmacognosy, I was almost ready with the script. And that time we started with a diploma in pharmacy book, myself and Mr. Gokhale. And then later on, we thought, why not to bring out a book for degree? And during 1981 or so, we started this activity of writing the book. And one good thing that I was doing, of course, one first or second edition of book that was not very impressive. But then I thought we should do something. And I used to go regularly to Pune, spend some time in his office from 9 to 9 in the evening, almost 12 hours. Even lunch we used to have at the table. And we used to do a lot of uh, lot of activity, and we working very hard. And on 2 or 3 occasions, tell 'em, on 2 or 3 occasions, uh, I still remember I stayed there for 15 days and worked on this project. I used to get the manuscript at Warangal where I was working, and we did a lot of literature survey, library work. My room was itself a big library, and I had a lot of collection. And I used to have attend international conferences, and I was spending a lot of time in the libraries of foreign universities also. Whenever I was visiting, I used to collect the latest information about pharmacology. In fact, I had spent a lot of time in the libraries of Germany, Britain, UK, that is, and France, and tried to collect a lot of information about my subject there. I had wonderful interaction with international stalwarts, including Dr. Shellart and Dr. Trees. And I visited Dr. Valley's, one of the greatest pharmacologists, and in his laboratory in United Kingdom. And we used to interact with them, exchange our papers with them, and try to get a lot of information. So I had a good opportunity of interacting with wonderful international scientists international pharmacognosis, who were also the authors. And I learned from them. I thought for my country, I should make it a very lucid, language, very simple language, which is understood by our students who come from the background of their local languages. And that's how we tried to make it very simple. We did not use very big words. We made it very impressive. We thought that a student should have the, you know, capacity of going through the entire text, and he should enjoy it. And that's how we tried to make our language very simple there. Maybe there are grammatical mistakes, but we thought that they are palatable. Our students should understand what pharmacognosy is. And that's how we started making the improvements. And these improvements of the editions have come after some, inputs by great stalwarts, and we try to improve on writing skills. But I'm happy that this book has been accepted very well, and students thoroughly enjoy. They do not recognize me as the Vice Chancellor. They do not recognize me as the President of Pharmacy Council of India, but they recognize me because of my book. And because of this book, I was invited by Jordan government to spend some time in their universities. And then I was invited to South Africa. It's only because of books. They extended invitation to me. I was in Muscat and many other countries. And I was asked to the same questions. How did you come out with this book? Of course, my book has been uh, made possible because of wonderful contributions made by Mr. Gokhale and Mr. Purohit, my co-authors. And Mr. Gokhale, as I have said, was responsible for bringing me in this activity.
Historical, sir. And definitely, sir. Whenever we will meet you personally, we'll have your
Thank
autograph
you.
on the book for my personal library. And as this book is very beneficial for competitive examination preparation, like GPAT, or somebody is going for pharmacy as a pharmacist, the state government examinations, when the multiple choice questions do comes from pharmacognosy and phytopharmacy part. So definitely, it is one of the legendary book of Indian pharmaceutical education and
Thank
research.
you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving this precious legacy to all of us. Moving forward in the interview, sir, I would like to ask the next question, which is related to the herbal drugs ADR, like herbovigilance. Since we are witnessing in 2004, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad was health minister. At that time, PVPI started. It didn't went well. In 2010, it again started, and then thereafter it is successively doing in other segments is like hemovigilance, material-vigilance, etc. Coming on to the herbal drugs, which was saw in last couple of years, say people are using more frequently allopathic and Ayurvedic preparations in a single platform, as we say in COVID-19 pandemic also. People are using sir Kada, people are using a lot of things along with the ongoing English medicine system medicines. So, sir, on regards to herbovigilance program of India or herbovigilance, like what want to use strategist of pharmacognosist of India, like what quality assurance of herbal products must be done in Indian market?
Yeah, herbovigilance is a big challenge in our country. In fact, we pharmacists have to do a lot of things in the field of herbal drug industry. I think I'm really sad that of late PCI has brought down the importance of pharmacology. And I still feel that the pharmacognosy is required to be revised. I do not mind. As far as curriculum is concerned, there should be the component of herbal drug industry. But this type of Pharmacy Council of India, I spoke to Professor Suresh when he was the president. I think this is unwanted because the reality today is herbal drug industry is very strong and herbal products are coming up in a big way. And this is not the time to reduce the importance of this subject. Rather than that, I suggested him and colleagues of Pharmacy Council of India that let us try to revise it. Let us try to bring it closer to herbal drug industry. This herbovigilance can be a component of that teaching. All those things can be done, but then we have never spent our time on that. I can tell you proudly, because of my association with the drug industry, there is a lot of demand, there is a lot of activity that is going on in the herbal drug field. But we pharmacists are not in a position to capture the market today. Come closer to the industry. There are many non-pharmacists working in this era, and many of our pharmacists, for great experts of pharmaceuticals, they have shifted their activities. They are more active in herbal drug production today. And because of some of the advances that have taken place in the herbal drugs across the world, it has to be properly incorporated in the uh, allopathy system. We cannot totally rely upon our Ayurvedic fields. We cannot be totally independent with our allopathy. We have to bridge the gap, and we have to see that how beautifully we can take out these uh, important concepts of Ayurveda into allopathy. And the allopathy is one area which is very strong today in European countries. I visited a number of pharmaceutical industries in European countries. In fact, I was on a scheme of visiting the important uh, manufacturing units of Germany, France, Italy, and many other places. And they are doing wonderful job. And as you have rightly pointed out, they give a lot of importance to quality control. The pharmaceuticals of plant origin which are going in the making of formulations, they are properly standardized. The raw material is standardized. There is in-process quality control that is developed. And it may not be mandatorily required in India, but in other countries it is. When we export our herbal products to foreign countries, they ask this particular information. They do quality control at every stage, from starting from raw material to the finished products. And then they come out with the quality control parameters for the therapeutic efficacy of these formulations. I think this is required to be formulated. I can reveal you one thing. In our well-established pharmaceutical industry, that is being done, but that is not coming to limelight because there are no regulatory requirements in our India, in our country. Our Ayurvedic manufacturers, they say our medicines are time tested and we don't have to give any data. That is, I think, in my opinion, a wrong step. We have to standardize our Ayurvedic formulations too, wherever they are possible. And for other formulations, we should develop our own standards. May not be globally acceptable, but we have to do it. We have to follow the WHO guidelines, and there is a provision of vigilance in these guidelines. We must do it. There are European guidelines for herbal formulations. We must follow these guidelines and see that our herbal products are developed. And I am of the opinion that in our pharmacy institutions, this particular concept of vigilance should be well taught. And for that purpose, our teachers also should be exposed to this. And for that, it is required that there should be some seminars and some workshops, very meaningful workshops, should be organized with the experts from regulatory authorities as well as from pharmaceutical industry. The people working in pharmaceutical industry in this era can offer lots of solutions to these problems. But as on today, vigilance is not a mandatory requirement in my opinion. And that's how I think that should be made as one of the mandatory requirements of herbal products.
Definitely,
We are
sir.
here, if Pharma LOK and agencies like you take up this task, we should try to strengthen this area of pharmacovigilance in herbal industry. I think you can interact with your, through your media with pharmaceutical experts from pharmaceutical industry, and we can develop some model by way of which we contribute something very positively to this cause of pharmacovigilance.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And this is what we have expecting that definitely a definite outcome from your expertise, and definitely this message will go all India and various stakeholders as well as the experts under your supervision can. Sir, moving forward to the very last question of this interview, like what is the international status of pharmacognosy, and what do you want to transfer as a legacy to the upcoming pharmacognosy generation?
I do not call it as pharmacognosy alone, but it is phytopharmacy and herbal drug therapy. It's very popular in Asian countries. I visited China. I visited almost 11 countries in Asia, including South Korea. In South Korea, there is a big museum in the heart of the city that is called a Ginseng Museum. It is three-storied building, and ginseng is very properly projected. Chinese are very proud of their Chinese medicines. In China, I visited a number of uh, hospitals also. 20% component of these, medicines in the hospitals is of Chinese origin, Chinese medicines. And these allopathic doctors, even doctors of modern systems of medicine, they practice Chinese system, and they are very well developed. Chinese medicines are very popular, not only in China but many other Asian countries, as well as the western parts of United States of America. Chinese medicines are very popular, especially in California, and they are manufacturing Chinese medicines there. And in Europe, as I already said, there are phytomedicines which are coming up. In Italy, there is one Dr. Barabino who has wonderful industry who invented many pharmaceutical products of herbal origin. These herbal medicines are very popular in Germany, France, and United Kingdom. And in the United States of America, of course, these go as the dietary products, supplementary products. And you see all the supermarkets flooded with these dietary products. But when it has to be introduced as a drug, there are very rigid conditions of introduction. Very few phytomedicines are available in the form of drugs in there. But as dietary supplements, they are very, very common in European markets as well as the United States of America. But the most important uh, recognition that is given to our herbal drugs is in Asian countries and African countries. They, of course, still rely more on these herbal drug industries. In our own country also, uh, Ayurveda is very popular even today, and the current government is giving a lot of encouragement for Ayurvedic products. Ayush is doing wonderful work in propagating the cause of herbal medicines. But my suggestion always used to be these Ayush doctors that we should have a good rapport and they should also accept the modern concepts of herbal products. And I think that is where we have to play an important role. I had an opportunity to work with Ministry of Ayush, of course, our good friend, a great pharmacologist of the country, Dr. Handa and Dr. Anantanarayanan. These two pharmacists have contributed very significantly to Ayush. Dr. Handa has done wonderful work. He was associated with a number of international bodies and he has brought laurels to the country as far as herbal drug products are concerned. I think our pharmacy friends are working in this direction, but there is need of our to interact with more with them because this government is giving a lot of support, encouragement to herbal drug products. My suggestion to pharmaceutical institutions to interact more with these agencies of Ayush and try to develop the research capabilities in your own institutions. They give a lot of funding too. And we should contribute our mind to the development of herbal products because we know more about the phytoconstituents and other things. We know about the extraction, we know about the purification of these constituents, and we know about the phytopharmacy more than them. I think we should come closer to them and interact on these aspects.
And definitely, sir, in PharmD second year curriculum also, the word pharmacognosy and phytopharmaceuticals nomenclature has been done since 2008, the introduction of the syllabus. So, sir, thank you so much for your gracious presence and definitely uh, the things today we have come to know and our all audience on this YouTube channel of Pharma LOK will listen this interview and it is one of the interview series. Episode number 26 is going to be learning historical and how you should be happy and perform various things at a age of 75 also available to serving to the profession. This is the real learning for the today's generation of pharmaceutical education and research. So sir, with both folded hands, once again I am
Thank you.
thankful on behalf
I
of
wish to
Team
thank you
Pharmalok.
all, Mr. Amit, and all the entire committee, entire team of Pharma for giving me this opportunity to express my views on the profession. I am very positive. I am always optimistic, and I am proud of the young generation of pharmacists who are doing a wonderful job. My compliments to you and your entire team. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time
Thank you.
and candor, sir.
Thank you.